Guys, good to see
This
everyone.
meeting is being recorded.
Let me give Angela co-host, and
Hello,
everybody's
everyone.
back to work. How was your Christmas? Good, good. Okay,
Good,
cool.
good.
Paul, good to meet you. Good to see you. Um, Leroy, good to see you. Janessa, Ann, Michelle, Bart, good to see everybody. Had a great holiday season, and you're back working. Um, Ohio State. Like you got the Ohio State shirt on today. They had a blowout win, which is a good game. You know, I don't like the red pants that they wear, but I think they're better with the silver pants than with the red pants. But hey, it was a good football game over the weekend. Um, yeah, happy holidays to everyone. Any questions to start off with? Actually, let's start with Paul. Paul Doty. I think it's our first time meeting you here. So I'm Ron Story. I'm the head of product at Speaker Hub, and this is our daily meeting that we do from noon until 1 every single day with current Speaker Hub users, other speakers who are not Speaker Hub users, where they can come in and ask questions, get demonstrations, ask for client results from real people who are using the system. And yeah, so Paul, you want to
Yeah,
introduce yourself?
yeah. Well, thank you, Ron. Yeah, I have. My name's Paul Doty. I'm from south of Boston. I'm a public and survivor speaker. I'm just about ready to finish a book, as well as I'm writing, having a TV series written. But the reason I'm on the call is twofold, Ron. One is I had some question. Now I have been using the system, and I've booked I don't know 8 or 9 podcasts. They're
Okay.
starting to be posted. I'm starting to get the full length video. And my question becomes, I sliced those up a couple times, put a couple on my website. So my question becomes, now that I have this material, how is it best used? So that's why I joined the call to ask that question. But before you answer that,
Mhm.
I want to. I was in IT for over 30 years. I did a lot of as a program manager. I had a lot of people that build applications and so forth. I want to tell you that you guys did a great job on
Thank you.
the application. You guys really did. You guys have a great integrated, and I worked a lot of integration systems. So I wanted to first tell you that I thought you've done a great job with integrating AI and all the other things that you have put into the system. So I think it's worth mentioning.
No, that's a big deal. That is huge, especially from someone who comes from the development world, who understands the complexity
Yeah.
of what we're trying to simplify. I think a lot of times people think, oh, well, you just give it to developers and they just make it happen. I'm like, we've all used crappy
Right. You're the
applications
program manager, right?
before. Exactly. Right.
Developers,
So
yeah, they're another beast, aren't they? But I'm sorry to interrupt you, Ron.
no,
I'm
no,
sorry.
no, no, no. That's what this call is about. This is what we do on the call. There's no official format. We answer questions. We love to take compliments, which is what you just provided us. So that's really big. When our team watches this, they'll be excited because I'm a kind of a tough guy to work with sometimes because I want things the way that I want them, and they deliver. They never miss the mark. We have a top notch team that I really speak really highly of. So
Yeah.
um, I'm proud that you feel that way, right?
Yeah.
And you're willing to tell us because most of the time we build things and we don't get any feedback besides the negative. So the positive feedback
Yeah.
means a lot, especially from someone from the industry who understands how difficult it is to make things feel natural
Yeah.
versus a bunch of buttons to click and all these other things. So
Yeah.
thanks for that. On the other question is, what do you do next, right? So one of our biggest philosophies here is the speaker flywheel. How do you take small opportunities and turn them into larger ones, right? In order for me to answer your question properly, I actually need to know what are the goals you're trying to accomplish. Because if the goal is just to get on podcast, then that's one thing. But if it's to get clients for podcasts, that's another thing. If it's to get speaking gigs, from podcasts, that's a whole nother thing. So
Yeah.
what's the end goal that you're pushing towards?
Yeah, I would say primarily speaking gigs from my podcast. And again, my book goes along with that. So my focus is on the speaking business, and primarily I'm focused now on high schools. And so that's primarily my focus. I think it's broader than that, but right now I'm focused on the high schools and trying to get more speaking gigs to answer your
Okay.
question.
All right. So I'm going to answer the question overall and kind of turn it into a lesson for the day. Is that fair?
I think that's great for all.
Okay. So let's do a quick quiz, right? In the chat, we're gonna ask two questions. What is the average number of speaking gigs that are done by professional speakers per year? Average number, just put it in the chat, whatever your guess is. How many do you think the average speaker does per year? If you've been coming to our calls for a while, you probably already know the answer. 74. Saran, 4. Who else? 5. Right? Any other answers? Bart, Bart knows the answer. Bart's gonna cheat. So let Bart put his answer in, right?
Tell us, Bart.
So 74 too. Yeah, Bart's being funny. Right? Yeah. So the average number of speaking gigs done by a professional speaker or someone who considers themselves a professional speaker is only 5. Only 5 gigs a year, right? What do you think if I said, you know what's the average income for a professional speaker, revenue wise? Like how much do they generate overall? Let's put that in the chat. Let's see what you all guess on that.
So are we assuming 5 gigs then, correct?
Well, 5 gigs is the number of gigs that they do per year, but what's the average revenue overall? Like what do they make overall revenue wise, including the greatest and the worst? What do you think that number is? 150K. Okay, that's a good guess. All right. Roy, anyone else want to guess? Bart, Paul, and
200.
Sharon? Yep, average revenue speaker per year, 200, 300. Okay. All right. Perfect. All right. Any other? I'm gonna give you 2 more seconds just in case if anyone else wants to guess. And then we're gonna bring up the actual stats. Right.
Ian said 50K.
50K. Okay, cool. All right. So let me share my screen here. And we provide a lot of these stats along with a bunch of other things, but I just looked it up because ChatGPT can do better research faster than what I can. So 57% of speakers, which is the majority, make less than $50,000 a year. I know that's not what's being sold in the courses and all the trainings, but it's the real number, right? All of the data that we found from Speaker Flow and their surveys, NSA surveys, 57% of speakers make less than $50,000 a year of revenue. That's not income. That's not what they take home. That's before they pay for Speaker Hub and all the other software programs. Does this make sense? Right. Now, that's a surprising number for most people because every speaker's course is saying how to make 9 figures as a speaker. And the best way to do that is to not be a speaker. Okay. So I have a joke that I say to all of my speaking coaching clients, which is most of your favorite speakers don't want to be speakers. That's why they're selling coaching programs. Because here's the breakdown, right? Less than 10% of speakers in the speaking industry make over $100,000 a year. And that's including all of their courses and consulting and everything else. Only 10% of the people are making 100 grand a year as a speaker. Nobody wants to talk about this because it doesn't sell courses. They can't get you to pay $40,000 for a career that's going to average you $30,000 a year. They can't get you to pay 40 grand for the coaching program with some of the companies if you're only going to make 5 gigs out of it. And they can't even get you the 5 gigs. They come over to us. They were Ron. I bought such and such's coaching program. I didn't get any gigs. Can you get me gigs for free? And I say, no, you misplaced your assets. This is the real data, guys, that nobody wants to talk about. Now, I'm going to tell you why this is a big deal for us and a huge opportunity for those who come to Speaker Hub. Because we're very clear that only 30% of your revenue should come from you being on stage. The rest of it comes from you selling other things. Now, watch this. Entry level speakers. 30% of speakers are entry level, making less than $10,000 a year. 30%, that's 1 out of 3. If we want to get to 50%, that's up to $30,000. These are those who are charging up to $1,000 per gig. I'm going to tell you the bright side of this, so don't look at it as it being negative. I'm going to give you the bright side. But the mid-level speakers who add consulting, that's when they make $30,000 to $40,000. That's why I'm always saying you need to add a coaching program. You need to add something else that you can sell, because your dream of making 300 grand just from the stage without you being Les Brown or Tony Robbins is misplaced, because the data doesn't support it. Not saying that you can't. I'm just saying, unless you want to fly around, like a guy I know named Ross Bernstein does 140 gigs a year. He lives in an airport. He's able to do it because he flies his wife around with him. So they go as a couple, so they get to see the world together. Does that make sense? Since they get to see the world together, it makes it a lot easier for him and his wife to be able to be in the airport 130 times a year. But look at where this breaks down. Look here. Those who are making $60,000 to $70,000, they're always combining it with additional revenue streams.
Excuse me, Ron, do you mind zooming in?
Yeah. Let me zoom in so y'all can see this.
Thank
And I'll
you.
give you a printout of it, right? They're using courses. They're using other things to supplement that. Nobody wants to talk about this. But this is the facts. This is the real industry data. This is what it looks like. Now, why is that a huge opportunity for you guys? Because if you add those supplemental things, then you get more gigs. Because now you're willing to speak for free so that you can sell more of the consulting and the services. That's where these guys are winning. Over here, they're thought leaders and they're making the money off of selling courses and trainings and everything else. So speaking becomes a marketing tool instead of a revenue generating tool. I built an entire business off of free speaking gigs. Me going on podcasts and doing things like that where they don't pay me, but I go out and I get clients out of the audience. I'm speaking from experience. This is not what the industry wants to hear, but it is the numbers. So the question is, if your goal is to make over 6 figures to replace your regular income, say you're an engineer right now, you want to replace your 6-figure engineering revenue, you have to have other things other than just someone's going to pay you to talk like Beyonce. Because if you can't sell the tickets, how do you generate the revenue? These are the real facts. I'll share this with anyone who wants it. Now, the great thing about being here at Speaker Hub is that we have a game plan for you, right? We have the game plan that can show you how to get to that 6 figures by offering the other things. Everybody doesn't want to do that. No, I just want to get paid to talk. Cool. You will stay in the $20,000 to $30,000 range. Because the folks who are changing the industry, they're adding their consulting and everything to it in order to push down the price of the speaking fees and get more clients out of the audience. So to go into a broader thing, yeah, I'll give you that. I'll give that to you. Everyone will get a copy of that. I have a whole report that we put together for this. That's why we are very honest that 30% of your revenue should only come from the stage. The other 70% comes from workshops, consulting, and other things that you're selling. If you don't believe that, you're in the wrong place. Because we're only going to teach you the stuff that is true and based on the data of the industry. Because I believe that the more speakers that we can get on stages and on podcasts and selling their consulting and becoming thought leaders, the better off we are as a world, as a human species, as a race of people or whatever, human race overall, right? Because we can get more positive messages out there. But you can't do it if you can't make the money, right? The average speaker is a speaker for 9 months. Let me say it again. The average speaker, including the guys who've been doing it for 50 years, considers themselves a speaker only for 9 months before they quit and they go do something else. Why? Because the dream that was sold to them when they bought their $90,000 course didn't get realized. So they quit. They didn't want to develop the skill. They thought, well, if I just tell my traumatic story, the world will pay us. That's not how it works. Right? So here's the bright side. We're making the transition at Speaker Hub to help you to promote your courses, to help you promote your trainings, to help you get in front of the right people on the corporate side. Why? Because we get over 120,000 people that visit our site every week looking for speakers and trainers and expert advice. Over 30,000 people visit on a unique people visit on a daily basis. When we add it up over the week, it's about 120,000 people a week, brand new, visit us looking for people like you guys. But they don't know that Bart offers training. They know they can find his speaker profile, but they can't find his courses. They can't find his consulting. They don't know that Sharon has a self-carepreneur course that they can buy because it's not on her Speaker Up profile. I'm not blaming you guys, I'm blaming us. We're going to provide you with that platform so that when Paul goes on a podcast, he can say, hey, check me out. Go to pauldoty.com and it redirects over to where his book is being sold directly on Speaker Hub, where his training, a book is just a reading version of a course that he could sell, which is just a recorded version of a live workshop he could do. Is this making sense, guys? So this isn't just about getting paid to talk. There are hundreds of millions of YouTube channels of people talking for free. Okay. Right? It's hard to compete with free. And then there are idiots like me that will buy the stage that you're trying to get paid to be on. Meaning I will pay to take your spot. Nobody else is telling you that, but that's what we do. I will sponsor the event you're wanting to speak and purchase that speaking spot because I'll know I will make more money from the stage. That's where the industry is going.
Question. I couldn't find the hand thing there quickly.
Oh yeah, no, you're fine. Yeah, this is how you do it. Just hop in.
Do you find, so many people are offering the coaching, as part of their overall service, and I know the speaking in itself is very, there's a lot of speakers, right? I mean, there's just as many. Do you find that being oversaturated as well, the coaching space, just as the speaking space is?
Well, it's. Let me show you how easy it is to become a speaker or a coach. Watch this.
Yeah.
I'm going to demonstrate it. Watch this. Go here to LinkedIn. I'm going to go to my page here. And then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to go to experience.
So now you're a coach.
Now I'm a speaker. That's the only qualification you need.
Right.
Right? Now, I got to delete that because that's stupid. Right? But that's how easy it is. There's nobody vetting saying that you're good enough. There's nobody vetting saying that they're a good enough coach. It's just the reality of the industry. Again, I'm not Debbie Downer today. I got a lot of holiday cheer. There's an upside to this, okay? There's a lot of upside to it. Those who really are good will win. Those who are really good coaches will win. So there's a lot of people that put coach on it that ain't coaching nobody. There are a lot of people who are putting speaker in their title that you nowhere because they don't want to do the work. They don't want to reach out and get booked. They don't want to reach out and get coaching clients. Because you know what happens when look, Paul, if I told you I could help you to write the best keynote ever, right? And you should pay me 10 grand to help you write your keynote. What's the first thing you're going to ask me for? You probably want to hear me speak to see if I even got an interesting keynote, right? Yeah. Most of these coaches ain't coaching themselves.
Yeah.
They can't help you. That's why they sell, I can help you write a keynote, not I can help you to get booked. Nobody has ever gotten paid because they wrote a great keynote. They get paid because they got on stage. So the easy route is we'll help you write your speech. Yeah, I ain't gonna ever make no money off of this speech if I don't get on stage. So you know what they do? They come to me and they say, Ron, I got customers. Can you help them to get on stage? And we used to say yes. And then we said, no, we'll do it ourselves. Right? So that's all that I'm saying, guys, is that we have to look at this as an overall business. Here, this here is, what's this here? Anyone? Anyone can guess.
Cell phone?
iPhone, right? And then what's this here? AirPods. I had to buy them separate from Apple. They even have an upgraded version without the wires. They sell also a mouse. They sell a keyboard. You notice how one company has multiple products, but yet speakers just want to sell their voice. You're going to lose to the people that have other things. Tony Robbins has courses, live events, trainings, books, everything. Les Brown, courses, live trainings, events, books, coaching program, mentorship. But yet, I just want to sell my voice. I'm going to make 300. You ain't making 300 grand unless you The Rock. You better be Barack Obama. Even he got a book. Now, let's focus on The Rock. Let me tell you why this is important. Barack Obama was the president of the United States, right? He did speaking as a part-time job. He had a regular job that speaking was supplemental. That's where the money is. You got to have a revenue source and then add speaking to it. The best speakers that are comfortable doing it, and I'm going to pick on you. And I know you're here. I need you to come up for 1 moment just to answer one question for me. And McNeil, if you're there, can you turn on your camera and answer?
Hi, I'm sorry. Miss Ann stepped out for a second.
Okay. All right, Janisa, can you answer on our behalf? On her behalf. Okay.
Yes.
What does the C stand for in MCO?
It's her name.
The M is McNeil, right? The C
The MC.
is huh?
It's construction.
Okay.
Construction.
Okay. What is Ann's primary business speaking?
No.
Okay, what is it?
Construction.
Yeah, it's McNeil Construction Organization is the MCO.
Mm-hmm.
Ann runs a full-time business as a construction person. Speaking is part-time. Okay. Saran, what is your regular job?
Yeah.
The question?
Oh,
Saran.
yes.
Full-time job.
Yes, an engineer.
Engineer.
Mm-hmm.
Regular job, other stuff on the outside. Bart, what's your full-time job?
Oh, well, I'm retired, honestly.
Before you retired, you were,
Oh, well, military.
and were you still doing speaking before you retired?
Yeah.
You notice the trend, guys? People have something that they're doing, and then speaking is supplemental. And then they keep doing that until they build up the business around it, and then they go independent. They just don't say, I'm quitting my job to become a speaker. You will go broke. Happy holidays. You got to have a transition plan into this business because the guys that you're competing with still have full-time income that can make the investment in the transition. Janika, is speaking your full-time thing?
No, sir.
Exactly. Right. Right. So when we think of it from that perspective, we have to look at it. We can't buy into the BS that, hey, I can work at Amazon today and tomorrow I'm going to make 300 grand because I'm going to tell a story about how I fell off my bike when I was a kid. It doesn't work that way. There has to be a transition period, or stay focused on the full-time thing with the supplemental thing. You know. But and you answered my question. Janessa was great enough to answer the question because what I was explaining, I'm glad you joined, is that the best speakers in the world didn't quit what they were doing that generated revenue to become speakers. It became, hey, I'm great at this. I'm going to go talk about what I've built my expertise around over the last few years. If
Exactly.
Ann
Exactly.
Big deal isn't out speaking to construction people or about construction leadership, she is doing the world a disservice because that's what she's built, her expertise.
Mm-hmm.
If she's telling me she's gonna go teach her AI, I'm gonna look at her like, hey, what are you doing? You got all of this experience with the MCO, and you out here teaching teaching AI. What is this? That's what we're doing, guys. We gotta look at the business differently. Right? We gotta find the thing. Hey, my message is important. When we look at that stat that shows that 57% of speakers generate less than $50,000 in total revenue from their speaking business, the only way to survive is to have coaching, consulting, and other things on top of that.
That's what we need.
Paul, is that fair? Or you better have another job,
That's fair. Yeah, I get it.
right?
Yeah, I saw the wheel when I went to one of your earlier trainings as well. Yeah, I'd have
Yep.
to revisit that quite honestly, but yes.
Yeah, I mean that is a big deal. So that's what we believe here. Tayo, good to see you again, man. Great talking to you last week over LinkedIn. But
Great
this
talking to
is
you.
this is where it is. So the people who are over here in this higher revenue thing is because they have other coaching and consulting that they're doing that the speaking is supporting, right? It's not just from speaking, it's from the other stuff. So I'll get you all this report that we put together about this, but we gotta use the flywheel to support other things. Now, this is promotion hour. So I'm gonna give everyone 5 minutes to talk about what else they said. Bart, you want to talk about your other programs just in case anybody else is watching? They can come get whatever trainings or coaching you have.
Well, good point. I would offer an opportunity for the people I speak to, depending on the audience, in a way to mitigate those active shooter inside a better task, because you're not going to get it all, what I'm going to say. So there is a follow up to that if they're interested. I won't say most people are, but it is an offering form that someone in audience made that, glad to that. I would tell you also, I'm working to build I know it's off subject here, but working to build a brand. And the brand is that the attack that I survived that led me to speak is also in a book that I've written a screenplay for to make the movie. So all of that is the brand. Like if you follow one, you'll get to another one. You follow the other one, so it's kind of threefold. That you get to one, you're going to get to all of them. So at the same time, while the movie is, being created and made, I'm building an audience to watch the movie, which in the end is revenue.
Yep. So we call that a product mix. Remember, I had the mouse, the headphones, the AirPod, the iPhone, the keyboard, right? That's the product mix. So Bart's product mix includes a movie. Mine doesn't include a movie, but that's one way to do it, right? You got to find ways to get the message out and other ways that people can purchase, right? So I totally get it. Anyone else want to talk about whatever products or services they offer outside of just their voice?
Yes, Ron, I would like to have a go.
Good.
Can you hear me all?
Yeah.
Yes. So the problem I solve is that of disconnect, and my target audience is primarily C-suite executives who struggle with disengaged and disconnected teams in the workplace. So the other program that I do offer is one, my book. So my coaching program have been converted into a book. So that's a part of my product suite. In addition to that, I do offer one-on-one and group coaching. And the same material also is converted into training materials to carry out execution workshop shops / training days. And on top of that, I'm also running a virtual mastermind. So that's my mix.
No, that's incredible. That's the way it
Yeah,
should
and
be.
then speaking is just the cherry on top.
There you go. Sharon Brown, self-carepreneur.
Hey there. Yeah, with me, pretty much my main goal is to help entrepreneurs and leaders in cultivating healthy and wealthy habits. And where that really comes from, basically, when you think about self-care, individuals kind of think about, oh, I kind of call it the luxury of self-care, such as the bubble baths and all of that. But it's really the path so that you can be successful, the path to be healthy. It's like you negotiating something. It's not just the negotiation, it's to have the courage. And then sometimes there are things in our childhood and background that can prevent us, like from having a voice or for stepping up. And so with that, my goal is to, speak to corporations and organizations. But then also one of the things that I do is I have created a on-demand course, which is a 21-day journey of unveiling your potential through your job, which is the joy of building. Because sometimes, especially when we leave a job, sometimes it can be some mixed feelings, and when there's something negative attached to that, we may leave our gifts behind. So we don't always go back and reflect and review. What did we learn from that job? What did we pick up from that job? And so, especially with the new year, 21-day journey is a good way of doing that. And then along with that, I also have the Fortitude Spirit Ritual, because in the hustle of being an entrepreneur, you're doing so much, but sometimes we're not always taking care of ourselves. So Fortitude Spirit Rituals is on Saturdays at 7 a.m. And it's really a place where you can either boost your energy or a place where you may be able to kind of calm down. There may be some meditation, but it's also in challenging yourself as well. So those are some of the things that Self-Care U Academy is offering.
No, I think that's a big deal. You got to have a diverse product suite. You just can't have your voice. It's you're gonna lose. Paul, you want to tell us what you're doing and what you would be looking to promote on the podcast or turn those into? And if you don't have anything, I'm just saying this before anyone comes up who may not be ready. It's okay. We will help you, right? We will help you with all of this stuff.
Yeah, I guess I wouldn't say similar to Bart, but maybe it is. As I said, I'm over the 9-month mark. I could say that. So again, I'm promoting my speaking business. To do that, I've written a book that I'm doing the final revisions of that and should be getting that out somewhat shortly. My story is resilience, my ultimate superpower. That's kind of my story. And again, so I have the speaking business. I have the book that kind of promotes that, and I'm writing a TV or having a TV series written about my life as well. So I'm kind of doing the same thing and kind of building a brand and packaging that up. So I'm at the early stages, but that's my plan, and I'm going to look into some of the other things too as well. I was a coach for 12 years. I was in consulting for over 30 years, so I have some of that background that you're speaking of.
Yeah, I think that those things are important. Here's the reason why. It's already hard to sell anything, but to sell something with a low profit margin is really hard because it has to appeal to so many people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you have a book on Amazon, those are Amazon's customers, they're not yours. So when you sell 1,000 books on Amazon, Amazon doesn't give you an email list of 1,000 people who bought the book. They just send you your $35 or whatever you're gonna get paid, right? They don't send you the list of the customers, so you can't sell those people anything else that bought your book on Amazon. So it stops there. So we'll show you some ways that you can put links in your books. That you ever read a book and it's like, hey, if you want to get the supplementary material, click here to go download that from my website. That's because they need to capture your information out of Amazon. So they give you the notes and the appendixes and the checklist and all of those things in the first chapter. Hey, to get the workbook that comes along with it, go to pauldoty.com because they need to get your information out of Amazon. So if you don't have something like that in your book, right in the introduction, you need to create a workbook. And then right on the first page, say, go get the workbook to this at jadika.com. Right? Because if you don't, you'll never get that customer out of Amazon. And if you put it on page 100, they ain't reading the page 100. Got to get it to them right at the beginning. And put your website at the bottom of every page of the book so that they see, go to say ron.com or whatever, right? That's really, really, really important. Our job at Speaker Hub is to turn speakers into great business owners, while at the same time taking our business owner customers and turning them into great speakers.
Yeah.
Keep that entire cycle going, right? But you won't survive as a speaker if you don't run a business. It's just the facts, right? Janika, you want to tell us what you do?
Thank you.
Okay. I am, to say what I'm really doing is I'm paving a new path. And to pave a new path, it's dealing with all of my past experience as a naturopathic healthcare practitioner. My main focus right now is on how to relieve pain without medication. And I say that from the standpoint of the fact that people suffer with pain, but are not understanding the pain and stress connection. So that's what I do. I have a book that talks about that. I also do training programs, but what I'm focusing on specifically is looking at what is the major cause of most people's pain. And it's not just physical, it's mental, it's emotional, it's spiritual. And what is it that we have within ourselves from a self-help perspective? Because see, my whole focus is on bringing back self-help and prevention. And so when I'm on podcasts, I'm giving tips and pointers in terms of how you can take back control of your life from pain with some things that you already have and don't know that you have and how to use them. And the other thing that ties into, which most people don't know, the number one stress factor that is the contributor of all health problems is finance. And the reason why it is because we have separated health and wealth when they both go hand in hand for optimum wellness. And I say that from the standpoint that my whole approach is about helping people return back to passing on generational health instead of illness and generational wealth instead of poverty. But you've got to know how to connect both to be able to have that which is yours. So that's my message. That's what my business is all about. And I'm looking at from the standpoint, speaking is just to get my message out there, but the other focus is to be able to help people become more preventive and focus on self-health care. So that's what I do.
No, that's incredible. I want to show you this lady, the Budgetnista, Tiffany Aliche. You ever heard of her before? Tiffany Aliche, this business does about $12 million a year. She charges $18 a month.
Oh, really?
She does about $12 million a year from this business, and it's a Facebook group. I'm going to show you here on Facebook. If we go in, it's called the, what is it called?
Dream catcher.
Dream
It's not dream catcher.
Dream Chaser, right? Is it Dream? I'm just going to type her name here, Aliche. It's a group on Facebook. It's Tiffany Aliche. Dream is something. Dang it. She got 400,000 people in this group. And I remember when she first started, she had 7, but she messaged people for years.
It's dream catchers. Yep.
Well, where's it? Dream? Is it one word? She had 400,000 people in this group. I couldn't believe it. I was like, holy crap. And it's all women. I'll find it and I'll send it to you. But that group is bananas, and it's just teaching women budgeting. Right? Wait, let me type her name in here. And then I think, because I want to give you an example of this. And we want to always try to push people towards, hey, let's look and see what other people are doing. There's usually a thing that says community on the side.
No, it's Live Richer Academy.
Live Richer Academy. That's what it is. Live Richer.
Dream catchers. Live Richer would, I have it.
Can you put the link in there so I can quit wasting time doing this?
Yeah, there it is. I just put in 483,000. I just put it in the chat.
Right. And she started one person at a time.
Okay.
Let me put it in the chat. Let me click on it so y'all can see this. Right. Maybe they ain't gonna let me in. They may have blocked me. Okay. Yeah, they blocked me off of there for some reason. But yeah, her group is called the Live Richer Academy, right? Which is incredible. There it is, right here. Live Richer Academy is the name of the group, but she's built that whole thing just around, it's a Facebook group with 400,000 people in it. I don't know why it's not coming up, but yeah, find it. They may have blocked me off of it for some reason, but
it says on here the group is temporarily paused for 10 days.
Okay, yeah, right.
The group will resume January 2nd.
Gotcha. So, but that's it. So they're rebuilding something. But she got 400,000 Black women in this group, right? So she's niched in. She knows what she's solving. But you notice she turned that into a $12 million a year business, right? But it was work. It didn't happen overnight. It took her, I think she wrote a book about it. I think she started in 2005. Just messaging people. She was a kindergarten teacher and she paid off all of her debt, and her friends were asking, how you pay off this debt? And she says, I'll teach y'all. She just budgeted. She just taught snowball budgeting. where you take your credit card payments and you take the one with the highest interest, you pay all the money on that one, and then you keep snowballing that up until it's all paid off. Very simple things, but common sense ain't common. That's why we all got a huge opportunity, because we can teach the things that are common sense to us, but they're not commonly known to everyone else. Is that fair, Jadika? Huge opportunity. But
Most
you said I only want to
definitely.
talk to people live, you're going to miss it. That's why you got to do the podcasting like you're doing. That's why we got to get the associations. We got to join the groups. We got to create our own stages. Live Richer Academy is hers. She ain't got to beg Speaker Hub to send out an email for it. It's hers. Does that make sense? Say, Ron, you want to talk about what you're working on?
I was looking for the unmute. I didn't see. Okay. So your question, what I'm working on, as you know, I'm a still full-time engineer. My side business, it's basically coaching, mentoring. What I'm selling at the podcast or what I'm marketing is about my 28 days coaching program. It used to be different niche, used to be 3 month and 6 month. I shut down that project last year on September. It was very exhausting and it was making me tired along with the client. So I don't have 3 month and 6 month anymore. I'm just doing 28 days, not a 1 month. There's two reasons for that. I love 28 number. It's the day that my son born, February 28. And also I want the client to feel they can celebrate the last 2 days of the month on the 30th, 29, and the 30th. But basically what I do, I tackle or guide people who has a full-time job like me. And I use my strategic thinking and solving equation for 35 years doing engineering. Same thing with people who are struggling to find an impact and sense of belonging to their life, especially for the midlife men and women. So I guide people on the midlife to find their hidden talent or the thing that they really skill at and they do very well without feeling the time and effort, and they actually wonder why people even paying them. You mentioned it earlier, Ron, saying that some people are just, let's say, talent in speaking or writing blogs or write or drawing or doing things by hand. So what I do, I bring those full-time employee and I guide them towards finding that hidden talent or hidden skills and monetize it and make it a side business. So that's what I do in my side
No,
thing. Yeah.
no, that's really, really, really important. One of the things that we want to make sure is that there is enough opportunity, right? There isn't a topic that I've heard where there isn't enough opportunity to make that switch. But the opportunity has to come in the vehicle that will get you there in the time that you're expecting. Let me give you a great example. I live in Medellin, Colombia. Is it possible for me to walk from Medellin to St. Louis to visit my mom? Yes, it is physically possible. Is it something I want to do? No. So I got the right goal, but the wrong vehicle. Can I drive from Medellin through Central America, through the 14 countries that are there, up through Mexico, through Texas, up to St. Louis? Yes. But is that something I want to do over the next 2 months? No, I don't want to do that. Same right goal, wrong vehicle for the time frame. My preference is to get there faster. I can take the ship or a combination of walking to the bus stop, taking the bus to the airport, taking the airport to a coastal area like Cartagena, hopping on a cruise ship. I can take a mixture of all these different things and I will still get there. Or I can find the optimal pathway to get to where I'm trying to go in the time frame that I expect. If I say I need to be in St. Louis tonight to go visit my mom, no matter how much I argue with the bus driver, he can't get me there. I can only get there in the airplane if I want to be there that quickly. So be sure that the vehicle that you're in is going to get you to your goal. If not, you can argue with the vehicle all you want. You will just be frustrated in 2025. So look at the vehicles that you're in. If you're thinking, I want to get to this income goal and I want to do it just from speaking, the data says that that may be difficult if it's a 6-figure number. But if you add a combination of speaking, coaching, consulting, selling products, selling courses, selling your books, making a movie, coming up with other different things, you may be able to get there in different combinations. Or you may say, well, look, this is the fastest one. I'm just going to do that. For me, it was podcast guesting because I didn't want to travel back to St. Louis or back to the States just to get $2,000 when I could just do a webinar or be a guest on a podcast and get people coming to me on LinkedIn. I can do a podcast once. I show you on LinkedIn all the time. I heard you on this. That podcast 3 years ago. I heard you on this show the other day. Yeah, that was 3 weeks ago. I'm still at my house. Got to find the vehicles that can get us to our goals. Is that fair? So the question of the day, what's your product mix? And what percentage of that revenue should come from that particular product? I'm going to toss out a number again. 30% should be from speaking at the maximum. Taiwo, yeah. Oh, we never had you introduce yourself. Come on, introduce yourself. I've been talking and you came a little late. So tell us who you are, what you do.
Oh, hi. I'm in a very. I'm trying to do 1 or 2 babysitting here, and I may not be able to show my picture.
Yeah,
I've had to
well, yeah.
attend to
Well,
my.
just tell us who you are. You can just introduce yourself and
Okay,
we can hear you.
okay. Yes, I'm Taiwo. I'm Taiwo. I'm a public speaker, and I'm a health insurer as well. And I'm able to work with private organizations providing healthcare services. So I do that in combination with speaking, my public speaking business. And for my public speaking business, I have some line of products. I have sales activation products, entrepreneurship and leadership trainings that I do. And that's even different from our membership. We also have a membership that we do, just to ensure that we get one-on-one coaching opportunities for clients that need our services like ASAP. So basically, that's what I do. So I'm in health insurance by the day. And my side also is public speaking, basically. I don't know if that's cool.
No, that's incredible. And we'll help you to build other products around that. Here's the one thing I want to make sure. Nobody should ever be ashamed of having a regular full-time job that's helping them take care of their family and pay their bills. It is already hard out here, guys. Don't let your arrogance have you living on the streets. Just being real. I am entrepreneurially unemployable. I realized that. I had a great management job with farmers. The minute that I went out and I started a separate business, it didn't go the way I wanted it to go. So then I tried to go back to farmers or go back into the sales industry. And they said, well, what were you doing over the last 2 years? I said, oh, I had started this business, blah, blah, blah. And I told them about it. They said, how did it go? Well, I'm an entrepreneur. I ain't a quitter. So it was cool. It went okay. And they said, well, why are you looking for a job? But then they're like, oh, wait a minute. Did this guy lie to us? Because if he was doing well in the business, why would he be looking for a job? And I'm like, well, no, I didn't lie to you. It went well. It just isn't doing what I needed to do now. They asked me a trick question. So, you ever see yourself being an entrepreneur anytime again in the future if we hire you? And I said, oh, you never know. I may. Wrong answer. They were like, no, you just coming to re-up. You just coming to make more money so you can quit on us again in 2 years. So I call that entrepreneurially unemployable because that's what happens to a lot of entrepreneurs. We leave our steady income, we go out and we fail in business because it takes 9 up businesses to get it right. And then we can't get back into the workforce and then nobody feels sorry for us. So my advice to all speakers is keep your job and make the transition until you're making more money in that speaking, coaching business than what you were making in your regular day job or your main business, do not leave. And you want to comment on that? Because I know the MCO, you ain't quitting the MCO to become a Speaker Hub ambassador.
Listen. I don't know if you can hear me,
We
but
can hear
your
you well.
story is all. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Your story is all of our story. I used to work for Pratt & Whitney Aircraft, and I left to start this construction business. And I went to work for Thacker Construction, and I went to work in construction, so I went to start my construction business. And I was crazy enough to tell my boss that, would you never want to do that? And in a year, I left my job because I thought my business was going to take care of me, and it didn't. I had to go beg my job back. So when you shared that story, I think there's so many of our stories, and he was willing to hire me back, knowing that I would eventually leave again. But this time, I tell people, and I coach my clients, I said, the next time, you don't want to just replace your salary because that's trading a job for a job. You don't want to double your salary because now that company is like a baby and you got to feed it. And so for me, it was 3 times my salary because it's got to take care of itself, and it's got to take care of me, and it's got to take care of making a profit. So no, whoever you are, keep your job.
Nobody wants to talk about that.
No,
That's
I
why
talk
we
about
are
it.
different.
Yeah,
We
thank
will
you.
not sell you this goofy dream of give me $40,000 that you got to pay off over the next 80 years, right? Hoping that you get enough speaking gigs in order to pay. No, that ain't it. That is not it. That's not the way to go. So we're going to make you great business owners. Go ahead.
Yo, Ron, I want to talk about something else. I put it in the chat.
Okay, let's do it.
And I put in the chat when you asked about how much do speakers make, and I put the number 50,000, so I think I was closest than everybody.
Yeah, that was it.
Then right after I put that, I put in there, how much do you spend to make 50? And I put 100. You're gonna spend 100 to make 50 because the conferences and the podcast, the platforms and all of this stuff you gotta buy, you think you gotta buy, and before you know it, you've spent more than you made if you really count the cost. So I just want to share that because so many of us, we think that we're in the business, not realizing that we're actually in 4 or 5 or 6 different other businesses, and your craft is just one of those businesses. Thank you.
Yeah. That $50,000 number that I showed was the revenue number. That wasn't even the income number. So what you're saying, in order to get 50,000 in income, you probably got to do 100,000 in revenue, which puts you in the top 10% if all you're doing is speaking, right? So thank you for reiterating that, especially someone with your experience, not only in the speaking business. Now, you all have heard of NSA. Let me give a little context so y'all understand why she speaks with such authority. Ann is a board member for the NSA. How long have you been on the NSA? She's one of the most respected people in National Speakers Association. When I went to that conference, it's like they were throwing rose petals, like she was Hakeem from from Coming to America when she walked through the aisle. I'm like, who am I standing next to? The trumpets come out when Ann walks into the room. Why? Because
Ron, the deal is this: I volunteered with NSA to learn what you're sharing at least 20 years. And I've been on the board for probably 4 or 5 years. But in the Black Speakers Association, which is a part of NSA, I've been there a good 19 years leading. And like I just shared with my office, somebody said to me yesterday, why aren't you making all this money speaking? I have 5 businesses. I said, because I've not done the things that that I need to do, because and many of us know it's a lot of busyness. But if you're not focused, and that's why I'm every time I can be here, I'm here with you, because for us, many of us, we know the truth when we hear it. And I read something by Emerson that said, when to believe in your own truth and to believe what is right in your heart and believe that that is true for all men. That's what I believe about you, Ron. I want to give you your kudos because, again, each of us know the truth when we hear it. Mm-hmm. Now, we can talk about the drama and all the other stuff that you talked about, but many of us don't talk about the fact that we spend thousands of dollars to make zero because we're still trying to learn what's our voice. And that's why not only am I here every day if I can make it, but I have 2 or 3 other people from our team that's also here because I said to you I wanted to make 100 pitches. I mean, I wanted to have 100 podcasts set, and we're going to talk about that too. And so we're probably up to 600 or 700 or 800 pitches by now.
Yep.
But I got to get all the other stuff straight first. And when the student is ready, teacher will appear. So I'll go back on mute, but I just wanted to share that.
No. This is why we do it.
Yes.
Right. This is where everybody here is equal. Right. I always say, look, nobody is better than the other. They're just further down the street. Right. What I'm trying to do with Speaker Hub is what you've already done with MCO. Right. Speaker Hub's a baby. We've owned it for 5 months. Right. But MCO has been around for a while. So I need to hear that I'm doing the right things from people with your experience. You're further down the street as an entrepreneur than what I am, right? I'm further down as far as getting people booked than other folks, right? Some of the speakers on here have been speaking longer than us. They're better speakers than what we are. Bart is a better leader than what I probably am because he probably ran a larger team than what I run. But this is why we do this, because I got to steal stuff from Bart. I got to come and stay encouraged by you. I got to look at the tenacity and the humility of Jadika when she's on here, consistently just doing it and not saying anything. This is community, guys. This is what we're trying to do. We got to keep each other going because it's hard. It's really hard. You know, Seyron, I look at Seyron's persistence of what it took for her to come from Iran to the U.S., build a professional career. She has these huge banquets at her house every weekend. I be seeing them on Instagram. I'm like, how'd she cook all this food on top of trying to be a speaker and work a full-time job? But that's what it's about. So we're always going to be here. We're 3 minutes into overtime. We're going to be here every day for you guys, right? To encourage you to let other people come on and share their stories. I know Leroy is 9:00 p.m. where he is over in London having to hop on to do these calls on a daily basis. This is what it takes, guys. If you want to win, we're going to help you, right? So any other questions? We've been on now for an hour. I can keep going if you all want to keep talking about different things, but it really comes down to sending the pitches. And you mentioned that you all have spent 600 or 700 pitches. I think Ange has the exact number, 800. Right now, Ann McNeil is in second place of our Speaker Hub ambassadors with 785 pitches sent as of this morning, right? Sent by her team. What's been the results? Let's talk about that. What's come out of it? Have you been getting responses?
Well, Michelle can come off mute. Between Michelle and Janisa, they can respond. But like I think I have thank you, Angela. I did put in a request for an appointment with you because I think one of the critical things that we did not take into consideration in the very beginning is my framework.
Okay.
So we'll discuss that. But Michelle, you want to come off mute and share where we are with the pitches?
Yeah, give me 1 second. I'm pulling it up right now.
Okay. And thank you, Angela, for the tracking. Roughly.
Paul, has this been helpful? Is this what you expected to get today? I don't know if Paul's still there, but hopefully this is what we want to do. We want to help folks. So Michelle, go ahead.
So out of the 700 or 800, however many pitches that we've done, we've gotten about 30 responses back. In that we have booked one podcast. We had a call scheduled with a person, which we'll be rescheduling. We have another one that we are getting ready to schedule the interview with. And it's just a matter of going back and making sure that everything's filled out for the questionnaires and getting those submitted. But that's where we're at right now.
So
Ro-
803,
Yeah.
800 to 3. Yeah. We need to look over that because that's
Right.
not consistent with our overall data.
Right. And Ron, I think two things we have to take into consideration. I'm good with it because for me, it's like exercising a muscle, right?
Mhm.
And there's a rhythm we all need to get into. They need to get into it. I need to get into it. But two or three things we have to take into consideration. One is holidays.
Mhm.
And a lot of people just have an autoresponder. They're out for the next couple of weeks. I'm
Okay.
fine with that because what I believe is going to happen once people start getting back in. And there's things I need to do with my brand.
Okay.
Because one of the first things that people are going to do, even when they're talking to you or when they get your what are you talking about and why is this particular subject is important. And
Yep.
so those things is what we'll go over, but I'm good if it's 1,000, I'm good because again, it's a muscle and a habit that we're all getting to. Like I said, for me, I'm being on 7th. I'm going to be gone for 6 months, and I'm going to be on shift. I can pitch. I can do a podcast every day. I'm not doing anything else. I'm clearing my calendar, so I can even pitch. So for everybody out here, I'm good with where we are. So Ron, you know
Oh, yeah.
whatever you
No,
need
but
to
we're
do.
gonna work on it too,
Yeah.
though. We want to get
No,
I
okay,
want to get it optimized, right?
not a problem.
Yeah. No, I appreciate where you are, but I know we want to be, right? And we want to make sure that we're holding ourselves to a standard of what the expectation should be, right? So whatever time you set up, Ange, add it. Send me the invite to my calendar so that I can
It
hop
was
on.
put in your, I gave in the link to your calendar,
Okay,
but I'm
perfect.
happy to hop on as well to help
Okay, yeah, let's figure that out.
push.
Excuse
And do
me,
you know when
Ange,
that
could
was
you
set?
drop it again? Drop it in there
Sure.
again, because Michelle is back. Michelle was out when you gave it to me.
Okay.
No,
Yep.
yeah, put
I'll
it
do
in
it right
there.
now.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, guys, this has been good. Bart, go ahead.
No, I would say in agreement with Dan about the how they're going to look you up. You know, I go into depending on what the podcast is and the organization and what they've done previously. You know, I have a pretty, you know, I know what I want to talk about, where I want to start, and all those type of things. You know, after how they introduce me and what they want to ask, but they have taken it in a different direction because they have looked me up and they start in on those things right away. And then I have to kind of keep my little script of what I want to get in there until they finish with their homework of what they've learned about me coming in. So they jump right into that stuff right away. And so if it doesn't happen during the podcast, it's definitely going to happen during the pre-call, but they already know everything right away. As you know, as you would expect, if you're at the end of the day, these pictures are cold. They don't know who you are until they get it and see your name and they start Googling right away. So that's why you hear me talk about all the time when you bring up certain questions is the brand, the brand, the brand, the brand.
Yeah, no, branding is important. It's why we trust when someone says I played football at Ohio State versus I played football at Ohio, two different worlds. That's 18 months. Having that totally different. If you played at Miami versus Miami of Ohio, two different worlds. Two different worlds. So the brand is important. Our job at Speaker Up is to make sure that when they search for you, you have your profile up and they can find you, the speaker, right? They find your speaker profile on Speaker Hub. At the same time, we want to make sure your LinkedIn is right and everything else so that you can show that you have videos, podcasts that you've been on. When I go into Google and I search for myself, right? This is why we preach getting on podcasts. I need these videos to show up of me on podcasts and me interviewing people so that that person can try me out, make sure I'm not a knucklehead ahead of time, right? So this is why we do it. We need you to, Pam Perry calls it Googleicious. I ain't comfortable saying that word 18 times a day, so I'm gonna say Googleable, okay? You know, but when they type in your name, we want them to find you. You know, we type in Angela Lewis, right? Well, there's a gang of Angela Lewises, right? The lady from what's the name of the movie Snowfall? Her name is
Snowfall.
Angela Lewis, right? But when I type in Angela Lewis speaker, we get somebody else, right? There's a bunch of Angela Lewises. If you got a name like that, you so there's Angela R. Lewis. So in everything that Angela's gonna say, she had better put R in her name because that's how they separate her. Now
We
we
gonna
put that in,
struggle.
we get all of the Angelas that we know. There she is. All of her books, post moves, game changing assist. But that R has to be a part of her brand. Does that make sense? So, Ange, if you ain't putting that R and everything on your podcast,
Yeah,
they're not going to find you.
I just changed it.
Because there's a bunch of Angela Lewises, but Angela R brings up, the slam dunk champion of women's basketball, right? So, moral of the story is the brand. Brand is important, but being able to be found and know that people find you is important. Anne's red. That's part of her brand. She has read everything, all read everything, right? Right. That's part of the brand, So, if y'all have no other questions, I'm tired. I gotta go get me something to eat. But this has been good, and thanks for sharing your experience, Bart. Thank you, everyone else. Thanks for sharing all of what you're doing in your business. Understanding that you're in the business of speaking. This is not a job, right? You got to treat it like a business and have a product mix. Got to have the mouse, the iPhones, the headphones, the wire. You got to have all of it. Apple sells all of these things for a reason. If people can only enjoy you when you're on a stage, you're missing the opportunity. All right. So enjoy the rest of your week. We'll be here tomorrow and then we'll be here Monday. We won't be here next Tuesday and Wednesday because it's the eve and the holiday. I'm going to be enjoying the new year, so hopefully you all enjoy it too. If you have any questions, get on my calendar. The calendar link should be in the chat. If you need answers about how to develop a product, what we call an MTO product, it needs to be measurable. That's important, right? So you can we measure what they're doing? We need it to be timely, where you can say, I can get you this measurable result in this amount of time. We need a measurable and timely outcome. That's what we're trying to help you to build around. So let me know if you need some time, if you need some help building that, because we got to get you a product that we can sell. February of this year, the new Speaker Hub launches with your ability to sell courses. You will be able to sell your courses on Speaker Hub. We will help you to promote those courses. That comes in February of this year. We can't talk it if we're not going to help you to walk it. So we're here for it. So I'm looking forward to it. Talk to y'all later. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.